Guys, I think we're in a Cold War. I think this is something that's being missed by a lot of the pundits out there, including those that are on my team. I think we're in a Cold War against China. I think what Trump is waging is this is essentially what we're seeing with everything that has transpired with tariffs. I'll get to the latest. I know that you've heard the latest, and some of you have probably been watching your portfolios or breathing a sigh of relief when you're thinking about your retirement and your 401ks. I do believe that what Trump has done is something that needed to be done. And I think this goes beyond just tariffs. I know a lot of people are thinking of this monetarily. I think about this fiscally, but I also think about the tariffs as far as in regards to national security. And I think Trump has accomplished a couple of things. And the most important thing is I believe that he has put China on their heels. Guys, you have to remember that China is obviously a communist. They're ran by communists. They're not in good financial. They're not in great financial conditions right now. It's as simple as that. Here's what you've got to ask yourself. There's plenty of things that you have to ask yourself. There's plenty of things that you've got to think about this. Gabe, I think you should write this down. But this is what you need to think about. Only one nation. I don't care what the liberals say. I don't care what, your hippie neighbor says. Only one nation can be the big dog in this world. It's as simple as that. I know there's a lot of people out there with this pie in the sky view that all nations are alike, all nations are equal. Guys, that simply isn't true. Not even all people are equal. I'm not talking about racism. I'm not talking about sexism. I'm not talking about God didn't create us the same. It's as simple as that. All of us have things that God has set out for us to do. And I think the same is true amongst nation states. I really do believe that. Only one of us can be the big dog. Either it's going to be China, and that's what they were emerging, that's what they were trying to become, or it's going to be the United States of America. China is obviously a communist nation. They don't believe in the Bill of Rights. They don't care about your living conditions. They don't care about your white picket fence or your house or your American dream. They don't care about any of that. They care about power. This is what these people, these atheists, communists, that's what they're about. They're all about power. They're all about conquest. This is something that we haven't dealt with as Americans. We're so blessed that we don't realize that there are other nations that are out there to get us. And quite frankly, regardless of whether you feel like Trump, okay, Trump didn't know what he was doing, or yeah, Trump was playing 3D chess. It doesn't matter. What matter is the end results. And I'm telling you, the end results are good. Now, I felt sorry for people, frankly, that were panicking about their 401ks. I believed that your 401k was going to come back up. I said, and I tweeted out the other day, or I was arguing back and forth with a liberal on one of the social media sites who said his 401k was down. And I was like, well, here's the deal. And I wasn't trying to be flippant, but you know just as well as I do that eventually your 401k is going to soar. And that is exactly what happened today. But more importantly, what happened today is we put China on their heels. That is the biggest story. That is the biggest takeaway of the day. Everybody's talking about the tariffs. The tariffs are just a tool. It's as simple as that. I don't understand why more people aren't talking about this. Do you want to be run by a communist country, or do you want to be the United States of America? It is not the same. It is not the same. Not all nation states are equal. It's as simple as that. This is the United States of America. This is the best place on earth that God has given us to live, at least for now. And we should feel blessed to live here. But somebody's going to be the big dog. And Trump decided that the United States of America is going to be the big dog. And for all of these naysayers out there that are sitting out there and, oh man, look at what he's done. Everything is absolutely chaotic, but it worked. But it worked. The end result is that it worked. Now I'll give you some of the details. Basically, there's a flat 10% tariff for imports coming into the United States while we continue to work out deals with other nations. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. This is what I want you to contemplate. This is what I want you to think about. Where are the nations coming to? Who do the nations want to do business with? They want to do business with us. They want to do business with the United States of America. Because ultimately, they know that this is the greatest country on God's green earth. There's no other place to go. If America fails, there's no other place to go. You can listen to the richest man in the world, Elon Musk. He said as much. You think he's joking? This guy's a billionaire. He can go wherever he wants. He can do whatever he wants to do. There's nothing that can stop him because he's got the finances to kind of live like a god, if you will, on earth. And he recognizes, if I leave America, there's no place else that's going to allow me to be as free as I am here. There was a lot of squabbling going on and fighting between Elon Musk and Peter Navarro. It looks like Musk won the argument, but ultimately Trump was paying attention to everybody. I'll share you some quotes, some of the things that he had to say. I've got some video as well with Secretary of the Treasury Scott Bessent, also Stephen Miller, sounding off on these tariffs. So has White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. So we've got plenty of video to share and to talk about. But America is a force for good. This is what I want you to understand. Maybe I should retitle this thing. America is a force for good. This is why I do this podcast. This is why I've done radio. I've done it without, and I'm not complaining because this is what I love doing. But guys, I'm not making a bunch of money doing this. I'm not a nationally syndicated host as much as I'd love to be. But this is my passion because I love America. This is the passion that God has instilled in me. There's no other place to go. America is a force for good. What is China? So right now, all of these nation states that have been complaining, all of these pundits that are sitting out there complaining, what did we get? We got tens of nations that have said, whoa, 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 whoa. I want to do business with you, America. You don't think that caused a panic in China? Hat tip epic times. The U.S. stock indexes surged today, Wednesday afternoon, following an announcement from President Trump that he'll pause reciprocal tariffs for most countries except for China. The S&P soared 9.5% on Wednesday. The index still a bit lower than it was when Trump announced his tariffs last week. The Dow Jones Industrial Average increased by nearly 3,000 points. 3,000. That's the conservative Dow Jones, okay? While the NASDAQ shot up 12.1%. In the latest move, Trump said he would suspend targeted tariffs on other countries for 90 days to allow time for U.S. officials to negotiate with countries that have sought to reduce them. Now, I suspect that tariffs aren't coming back after 90 days. I do believe that perhaps they'll keep a flat tariff tax, if you will, on some nations, or perhaps these nations will zero them out. I believe ultimately that's the goal. Okay, we're going to do some free trade here, except they're going to work with each country on an individual basis. Perhaps there's going to be countries like Vietnam where they're going to say, hey, listen, you guys are a friend. I understand you're not a very rich country. And so you're going to have some tariffs on U.S. imports into your country in order for you guys to survive. We get that. But can you lower those tariffs? So we're going to do deals like that. But ultimately what happened is these nations made a choice. And this is what nobody seems to get, what nobody seems to be talking about. These nations around the world, the ones that maybe even mock the orange man bad, just said, we choose the United States. Yes, China has their influence. China has been encroaching in the Western hemisphere. China has been playing a role in the West. China has some troops fighting with Russia against Ukrainians. These nations chose the United States of America to work with. Guys, we're in a Cold War. I don't think I've heard that today. And I've heard some great analysis on the tariffs and Trump ending the tariffs. But what I haven't heard is someone straight up tell you what I'm telling you. We're in a Cold War. Trump has fired a missile, a bazooka, a nuclear bomb on China. And it's working. So you're going to hear, or you're going to watch a lot of news organizations pontificate on the tariffs and the stock exchange. And again, I'll share more information with you just because I want to be able to give you the news. But ultimately, I want you to understand what's happening. We're in a Cold War with China. And Trump has just put us on sure footing, on solid ground. Because despite China's economy that frankly isn't as great as they pretend, they were just gaining ground. They were gaining influence. I got so much to show you. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth at the Panama Canal, Scott Bessent, again, talking about these tariffs. Just so much more to go. You're listening to the Carl Jackson Show. You guys, please be sure to join me, all things social media, at Carl Jackson Show. We'll be back in a moment. You guys stay tuned. Hey, Carl Jackson here from MyPillow. MyPillow is excited to announce that they are extending the mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. This is your chance to grab incredible deals on some of MyPillow's most popular and newly released items. For example, you can save $40 on the new spring MyPillow bed sheets available in any size or color. Also, these luxurious sheets are designed for maximum comfort and breathability, perfect for a great night's sleep. Looking for a meaningful gift? You can save 30% on the brand new My Crosses, inspired by the one that Mike Lindell has worn every day for over 20 years. These beautifully crafted crosses come in both men's and women's designs and are proudly made in the US of A. Get the 6-piece bath or kitchen towel sets for just $39.98. Initial quantities are extremely limited, so don't wait, por favor. And don't forget, the best-selling standard MyPillow is now just $17.98. Man, that is insane. Plus, orders over $75 ship free. So go to mypillow.com. Use the promo code Carl. That is CARL, or call 800-858-0263. 800-858-0263. Again, I want to play some video for you because I want you to understand that we've had a major win today. Not only has President Trump reset trade relations with both allies and foes, but he's put China on notice. Now, we're not privy to Chinese media where we can go in and see how Xi Jinping and his cabinet members are reacting. But I think you can rest assured that they're not sleeping easy right now because the economy needs to be good. Xi Jinping needs to be able to create jobs for the nearly billion. I mean, think of this. I know they've got a lot of people in slavery. I know they kill a lot of people, but still they have a population of 1 billion, thereabouts, give or take. He's got to be able to appease these people. He's got to keep these people calm enough to believe that communism can take care of them. That's why they steal intellectual property rights and so on, etc. But everything is done by the state. The state takes care of everything. The state subsidizes so much stuff, virtually everything, businesses inside of China, that if their economy collapses, the CCP is in trouble. And this is exactly what Trump is doing. He's fighting a Cold War against China without firing a shot. Keep that in mind. I want to play a video for you. Gabe, let's go to video clip number 4. This is what Stephen Miller had to say about China. This was before the news break about Trump calling for a 90-day pause on these reciprocal tariffs. So let's go ahead and roll. Cut number 34, please, Gabe.
I believe that China will be forced very soon to come to the table for the simple reason that China's economy is completely dependent on its exports to the United States and to the West. China has built its entire industrial strategy since its entrance into the World Trade Organization on being able to sell highly subsidized, currency-manipulated, dumped goods into U.S. markets. It is an industrial strategy from China to product dump strategically to take out American steel, to take out American aluminum, to take out core American defense industries and defense needs so that we're reliant on China. And what's happening here is that China is now discovering for the first time that they have met an American president who is not going to be intimidated, who's not going to be bullied, who's not going to be coerced, who's going to stand up for our essential security needs.
See, we almost had to we almost had to scare our allies back into our arms as well, if that makes any sense. I believe it does. I hope that it does. But that's what needed to happen as well. Again, just think about this. Only one nation is going to emerge as a superpower. Forget the kumbaya nonsense that you've learned or the Democratic Party has taught you. Forget that kumbaya nonsense. Every nation wants to be the world leader, but only one nation can. Who do you choose? The United States every day of the week. Not just you, not just those that are in my listening audience, but this is who the world chooses. Now, they may cozy up with China because China is offering them, communications. China is offering them these Belt and Roads initiatives and some of these third world countries, and honestly, even enticing places in our Western Hemisphere, like Venezuela, like Panama, for example. We'll get to that momentarily. And Trump just said, I'm going to put tariffs, reciprocal tariffs on everybody. And I think he smoked China out. China wants to be the big dog. But what does the world look like if China is the big dog? Oh, forget about your dreams. Forget about your ambitions. You work for the state. You work for the government. I mean, essentially, I feel like that's what the left was trying to do right here in the United States. So that's why I'm so thankful for Doge. And apparently they found, they're finding so much scandal still. It's unbelievable. I haven't even talked about Doge enough lately, and I'm going to be circling back to that within the next day or two, because they're discovering some more stuff that's just absolutely insane. But we don't want to be beholden to the government. China wants world dominance, and they're not going to get it, at least not with Trump in charge. Again, America is a force for good. The CCP, they're not. We know that we're a force for good. Carl, how can you say that? How can you say that the United States is a force for good? I mean, we've had slavery, racism, so on, et cetera. You don't think other nations have dealt with that? I'll tell you the number one factor, the number one reason I know that America is a force for good, that America is the best country on God's given earth, because on God's green earth, because I don't see 12, 15, 20 million illegals that are pounding on the gates of China trying to get in. China will probably shoot them anyway, but they're not. That's part of the reason why they're not going there. They're not doing it. I see a lot of these illegals that are coming through Mexico to get to the United States, through Canada to get to the United States, and sometimes they settle in Mexico. Sometimes they settle in Canada. But for the most part, overwhelmingly so, they come to the United States. I think it was Bill Bennett that once said, you can tell how great a nation is by which way the people run once the walls come down. Brilliant. Brilliant. They run here. I want to go to cut number 37. This is Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent. And frankly, let me just say this. I know some people might get mad for saying this. I'm so glad that Trump has decided to put the Secretary of Treasury out there to talk about this stuff more, and not Peter Navarro. I like Peter Navarro. I don't think he was a good communicator. I like Lutnick. I don't think he was the best communicator. I think Scott Bessent gives Trump what he needs, the expertise that he needs, and the stability that he wants with his policies moving forward. Cut number 37, please, Gabe.
And all this was, again, this was driven by the president's strategy. He and I had a long talk on Sunday, and this was his strategy all along. And that, you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors. And we are willing to cooperate with our allies and with our trading partners who did not retaliate. It wasn't a hard message. Don't retaliate. Things will turn out well.
Okay. All right. So don't retaliate. Things will turn out well. Guys, frankly, for me, what matters are the results, the end results. And the end results is our friends are working with us on trade deals, on better reciprocal tariffs, better trade deals that are going to benefit them, that are going to benefit us. They're not going to be beholden to China. We're not going to be beholden to China. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing. Here's what Kevin Hassett had to say. This is cut number 36. This is what he had to say on Fox News. I believe this was yesterday. This is what was starting to transpire with these tariffs. Cut number 36.
I think that right now we're managing a massive number of requests for negotiations. It's actually logistically quite challenging just to go through them. It's something that I've been spending a lot of the time this morning doing, because at NSC and NEC, what we have to do is prioritize the meetings for the president, and there are so many to go through that, we're actually getting ready to present a plan for him on, who and when. But yeah, he obviously prioritizes two of our closest allies and trading partners, Japan and Korea, and the word out of those conversations was really positive, and positive really for American workers, American farmers. There are a heck of a lot of concessions on the table. In the end, the president, of course, is going to be the one who decides whether the deal is good enough to change his mind about the tariffs.
Another thing that I want you to think about, something that has transpired. You realize that we've just seen in a matter of days the redistribution of wealth from some of the elites to the middle class. And I'm not saying there weren't a ton of people that got rich off of what we just went through, because many people did. But there's a whole lot of people in the working class, blue collar workers, that did very well in the stock market. Those 401ks that a bunch of lefties were complaining about, saying they would never come back. Oh no, they came back. I can't wait to see my portfolio now. Now I was a little nervous. I was like, I'm going to endure this because I believe in what's happening here. But I was a little nervous. I can't wait to see my portfolio now. And frankly, anyone that has a 401k, anyone that's not a big investor out there, they made their money back and then some. I'll get into more details when it comes to these numbers. Also, I need to talk to you guys about what Trump is doing as far as mass deportations are concerned. A brilliant plan that he's laid out, and I'm so glad he has, that concerns self-deportation. We'll get into that momentarily. You guys stay tuned. You're listening to The Carl Jackson Show. Welcome back to The Carl Jackson Show. Again, guys, we're in a Cold War with China, and we can talk tariffs all day. Essentially, they worked. You could say, listen, Trump was just chaotic, a bunch of chaos. He didn't know what he was doing. Some of you might say that Trump was playing 3D chess. Here's what I say. Whatever he was doing, it just worked. Because we're in a Cold War with China. And I think people are missing the macro point. If the goal is to divorce our allies from their dependency on China, we've just started that process. If our goal, and this won't happen overnight, frankly, you need more than one term. But if our goal is to decouple from the Chinese Communist Party and watch them go bankrupt, the people that still enslave people, that kill people, that censor everything, that spies and surveils on all of their citizens, if we want to sink them, this is a good way to do it. You heard Stephen Miller say earlier, China is totally dependent. Their economy on selling cheap crap to those of us in the United States and the Western Hemisphere. You know, in China, they don't make cheap crap for themselves. They make good stuff out there. It's hard to believe, right? Because we get all this stuff and we're like, oh man, this stuff is no good. This isn't engineered good. In China, they have good stuff. I don't know if we have the clip. I'm searching for it now of Mr. Wonderful. I don't think we have it. Oh, man. Anyway, Kevin O'Leary of Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful as he's known, he came out and said, man, I got to find that clip. He came out and said that he thinks that instead of the 25% tariffs that Trump has just slapped on China, that we should literally have 400% tariffs, because he goes out there, he does a lot of business in China and with China, and they steal his intellectual property rights. They steal his ideas. They remake his stuff, and there's nothing that he could do. He can't litigate in the courts out there. How many more Americans is that happening to? Why build in China? I tell you why build in China, and thank God that isn't going to continue to happen because of the regulations out here. You can't build the businesses that you used to build 20, 30 years ago in the United States of America, 40 years ago in the United States of America, because you got a bunch of nut jobs in Washington, D.C. that don't have a clue about how to build a business, telling you how to run your life. And so they just love the power and they love regulation, regulation, regulation. Look at the people in Washington, D.C., the Jasmine Crockett's of the world, the AOCs, these people that have never built businesses. And these people want to tell you how to live your life? It's just astonishing to me what people fall for. The left is so emotional. Going back to the Epic Times, again, S&P soared 9.5% on Wednesday. The Dow Jones Industrial Average increased by nearly 3,000 points. So every single naysayer out there, whether this was done intentionally or by happenstance, it doesn't matter. 401ks are fat again, and China is on their heels. Trump told reporters that his decision to launch the tariffs was needed because the situation with the U.S. trading partners wasn't sustainable, quote unquote. He said, quote, somebody had to pull the trigger. I was willing to pull the trigger, quote unquote. Now, you may say, man, that's insane. He's just a fool. Or he's kind of being Trump and what people expected of him and actually wanted. And frankly, as much as I like the guy, I'm ecstatic about this second term because I can't believe some of the stuff that we've been seeing. Now, I want some more, if you will. I want Republicans to step up to the plate, and I'm not the biggest fan of the Senate bill or the House bill that I see, frankly, but I understand that we got to get something done. We got to get some legislation. We need budget reconciliation to continue this process and to codify some of these things that Doge has found into law. I think there can be much bigger cuts, and I think we should rally for that and call our congressmen and call our senators because we're the ones that get screwed. But I've been I shouldn't say pleasantly surprised. I've been ecstatic. Just the whole Doge thing, that alone is worth the vote. He said that he had been watching volatility in the bond market. Now, this is very important. And this gives you a clue that he did know what he was doing. He said that he had been watching volatility in the bond market in recent days, and it appeared to suggest that was one of the reasons why he had initiated the pause. Because if you get oil prices going up, you get bond prices going up, then you're probably looking at a recession. And quite frankly, if you listen to my show, I was bracing you for a recession because I thought a recession was coming anyway. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I think we'll get through it. And that was the way that I wanted Trump to communicate this. But now he just caused the markets to soar and people are going to be all right. But I believed we were going to have a recession simply because, guys, just understand that during the Biden administration, we were sliding big time economically. We had, and I heard Scott Jennings say this on CNN, and it's so true. One of the lone conservatives on the program. But keep in mind that under the Biden administration, we endured a recession. We endured anemic economic growth, and the Democrat Party said absolutely nothing. You got all these people coming out now and talking about, oh, Joe Biden was a vegetable. They have no credibility whatsoever. And they don't have credibility when it comes to the economy. I don't want to hear a peep from these liberals when it comes to the economy. Don't complain about anything. You watched the Democrat Party shut down this country unnecessarily so when it came to COVID lockdowns. We were getting over COVID. Whatever you feel about the jab, you had Operation Warp Speed. Whatever you may feel about the jab, Biden comes in, they shut the country down again. Dr. Fauci feels emboldened. You have the Free Beacon writing now, and actually I spoke about this years ago, but now it's new news apparently, that you had some Americans that had gotten sick in these games, war games or something in China at the time near the Wuhan lab. I don't remember all the details and specificities. There were videos out on YouTube back in the day about it, and all of a sudden, all of these videos disappeared. But lefties, oh, you're causing the spread of the virus. You're not wearing a mask. You're not getting the jab. Shut down your business. Don't go to work. They destroyed the economy, and they got the audacity to talk to us about the economy? No, I don't think so. I don't take liberals seriously when it comes to the economy because I know they don't mean it. If they meant it, they would have been fighting right alongside us when it came to the COVID lockdowns, and they weren't. So they're a bunch of frauds. They're a bunch of fakes and phonies. They're a bunch of females, even the males in some cases. A bunch of feelings, no substance, no reason, no logic. And I'm sick of it. When we get back, I got to talk to you about some of the stuff that's happening on the border. Because it's not just this Cold War against China that Trump is fighting. But what's happening on the border is absolutely astounding. What we've seen on the border, basically, we've seen the border shut down. But now Trump, again, 20, 30 million people that have come into the United States of America, maybe not 30 million, 20 million. Some have said 12, some have said 15, some have said 20. So I figure it's probably above all of them. and we're having to deal with that as well. But make no mistake about it, we're in a Cold War. Actually, let me do this. Which one is it? There's a couple more videos that I want to show you. I think they're extremely important. If we have time, let's play cut number 48. This is Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense. Okay, all right. We'll hold out on that. When we get back, I want to play for you Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. This is all connected. But let me wet your whistle when it comes to this, all right? Hat tip, this is from, I believe this is Town Hall. No, this is Hot Air. So the DHS is going to enforce a law that's going to allow them to fine illegal aliens up to, listen to this, $998 a day for failing to self-deport from the U.S. So not only are we strengthening the United States under Trump, not only are we strengthening our position when it comes to foreign policy, but we're securing the borders on the domestic front. And we're making sure that we're securing elections, too. We're making sure that we're not codifying poverty, if you will, into the United States. We still want the American dream here. The Democrat Party, they want slaves. They want other people picking cotton. Just ask Representative Crockett. All right. Listen, guys, you're listening to the Carl Jackson Show. You guys, please stay tuned. We'll be back momentarily. Don't forget to follow me, all things social media, at Carl Jackson Show, at The Carl Jackson Show, X, Instagram, and Facebook. I want to go straight to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. I want to prove to you guys that we're in a Cold War. And not only do we have to be aware and concerned about the inroads that China has made in our Western Hemisphere and our adversaries that are not in our hemisphere as well, not immediately so when you think of China, But we have to be concerned about border security. We have to be concerned about people that have come into the United States of America. So I want to give you a little hope, and I want you to understand, again, this is bigger than just tariffs. This is bigger than just the economy. This is about who's going to be emerge as the superdog, right? As a superpower. Who's going to be numero uno? It's the United States of America. The question is, do we want to remain number one? Oh, we're a systemically racist country, so we don't deserve to be number. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. Where did slavery end? You had slavery in every continent, every region of the world. It ended here. It ended here. And the reason so many Americans can sit here and whine and complain about it and look back into the era of slavery is because we're knowledgeable here, for the most part, when it comes to the issue of slavery. Because we don't have kings, we don't have authoritarians, where if you speak out, you're slapped down, you're jailed. Now we're starting to see that in places like like the EU, and Democrats tried to impose it here. Thank God it didn't work out. But they really had a network of censorship that they were trying to employ on the entire United States of America. It didn't quite work. Thank God. But I want to show you video clip. This is Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth at the Panama at the Panama Canal. I believe this was today or yesterday. Let's go ahead and roll this clip number 48.
The United States of America will not allow communist China or any other country to threaten the canal's operation or integrity. To this end, the United States and Panama have done more in recent weeks to strengthen our defense and security cooperation than we have in decades. That includes our meeting today and announcements to come. Our relationship with Panama, especially our security relationship, will continue to grow in the months and years ahead. Our relationship is growing in part to meet Communist China's rising challenge. China-based companies continue to control critical infrastructure in the canal area. That gives China the potential to conduct surveillance activities across Panama. This makes Panama and the United States less secure, less prosperous, and less sovereign. I want to be very clear. China did not build this canal. China does not operate this canal. And China will not weaponize this canal. Together, we will take back the Panama Canal from China's influence. And we will do this along with other capable, like-minded allies and partners. This is what peace through strength looks like.
Okay. We're in a Cold War with China. There was more video. I couldn't find it. But basically, he became even more emphatic. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth did. And basically stating that we will not allow, President Trump will not allow China to continue their influence in the Panama Canal. Basically, it will not happen. Guys, I'm telling you, what President Trump is trying to do is bring China to their knees. Now, yeah, he wants to make life better for middle-class Americans. He wants to redistribute the wealth that some of the elites have stolen by shipping out some jobs to some foreign adversaries and some foreign allies, frankly. And I'm a free trade guy. Listen, I am a free trade guy, but I've grown to realize that, yes, some of these trade deals were just silly. Just silly. Not all of them. Because sometimes we have trade deficits simply because other countries can offer things that we don't have, that we need, or that we want. And that's a good thing. So it's not all bad. But when it's sinking us, when these trade barriers are allowing China to become the big dog, somebody has to reset. And that's exactly what happened. Now, let me just share this with you again. Getting back to this article, this was from Hot Air. Let me just give you the synopsis. How much time do we have here, Gabe? Let me just give you the synopsis here. So the DHS is going to enforce a law that's going to allow them to fine illegal aliens up to $998 a day for failing to self-deport from the U.S. Now, this is brilliant in my opinion. I would have never thought of this, but this law is not new. This 1996 law also allows them to seize property for non-payment. What? Seize property for non-payment? Man, now Bill Clinton signed this into law. This is a bill that imposed a large fine for aliens who defy a deportation order. So Bill Clinton signed this into law back in 96. I'm sure that was during the Gingrich Revolution, however. Apparently, neither did many other people know about this law. They had just been sitting there unused over the past 4 years, with somewhere between 20 to 30 million illegals in America and a mandate to deport them given to President Trump. Running people down to deport them, hot air contends, it's hard work. Obviously, if you've got 20 million people inside of the United States, 20 million illegals, it's going to be virtually impossible to find all these people. It is. Why do you think, and thank God that Trump had a victory with being able to deport these gangsters from a bunch of these activist judges, these federal district judges that are nothing but a bunch of Democrat activists in a black robe. Thank God he won that battle. But just understand, we're not going to be able to get rid of all these people. So we've got to find ways in order to do that. I mean, maybe we can in a span of 20 or 30 years, but you can open up the floodgates, which is exactly what the Biden administration did, what the auto pen did. But to get rid of them is a different story. Even though we're making great progress, we've had over 100,000, maybe even upwards of 150,000 illegals that have been detained, deported, criminal illegal aliens. But guys, that's 100,000, 150,000. We're talking about 20 million. That's a hard number to get to. So the only way you can combat that is to show videos of some of these gangsters in Sidcot in El Salvador? I believe that was in El Salvador, so that they'll self-deport. $998 a day, self-deport. Seize your property if you don't. This is something we have to do. And I know there's a lot of good-hearted people that wanted to come here, and they don't mean any harm. They just want the American dream. But you have to go about it the right way. You have to go about it the right way. Here's something else that happened that is very important. Hopefully we have time. Not sure we'll get to play all of this. But we have, this is FBI Director, FBI Director Kash Patel. This happened in Florida, in my state. Cut number 43, Gabe, if we could play that real quick. In Everglades, Florida, 48,400 pounds of illicit narcotics. This is why we have to shut the border down. Guys, we're in a war. People are warring against us, and we haven't been fighting back. Now we are. Cut number... whatever that is, Gabe, sorry.
General Bondi, we're here today because of your dedicated leadership to safeguard American lives. Because you have the courage to follow President Trump's courage to put our children first and to make sure that the narco traffickers, and make no mistake, this administration has labeled them foreign terrorist organizations because that's what they are. There is no lethal force on planet Earth that is responsible for an overdose death of an American citizen every 7 minutes.
Wow.
More so than these federal terrorist organizations, foreign terrorist organizations. We are humbled to be a part of this Department of Justice, and we are going to continue to safeguard our streets.
Let's go ahead and cut this.
This is what
we'll cut it. We'll have to cut that short. I'm just running out of time, so forgive me for that. But here's the deal. 48,400 pounds of illicit narcotics with over $509 million worth, apparently now off of American streets. Whatever drugs they found, I suspect it's, some form of heroin, fentanyl, or something of that nature, kills an American every 7 minutes. This is what we're fighting against. There were a couple more stories that I wanted to bring to you. We won't have time for today, but I'll bring them to your attention tomorrow. Also, we will have an economist on the program with us tomorrow, and a supply shipping expert to talk more about the tariffs and the aftermath of the tariffs, or at least this 90-day freeze, if you will, even though there's a blanket 10% tariff while we work out trade negotiations with other nations. But Trump contemplates drone striking cartels in Mexico. That's something that I want to get to. And this has been a story that many people have talked about, but I've got to talk about Representative Jasmine Crockett talking about we're not picking cotton anymore, speaking about blacks. And then AOC was seen flying on first class to Bernie Sanders' rally to protest oligarchy. Guys, I don't know why anyone is surprised about it. That's what elite socialists do. They live the good life. We'll see you next time. Don't grow weary doing good. Hey guys, click here to subscribe to the Carl Jackson Show YouTube channel for all of my commentary and latest political analysis. Do not miss an episode. The Carl Jackson Show